Welcome to the Daily Insider here on VegasInsider.com and on our YouTube channel. Kevin Rogers with you here on this Tuesday, July 6th, 2021. And now, at least for the summer, starting this week and moving forward, we're going to have just two shows a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays here in the Daily Insider. And then once football ramps back up in late August or so, we'll go back to the 5-day a week. But for now, we're going to go 2 days a week on the Daily Insider. But that also means that we will still have the contest Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, if you don't know what that daily contest is, it's the Daily Insider Contest. Very complicated name, but it's very easy to enter. Is it easy to win? Not necessarily, but it's easy to enter, and I'll tell you how you do it right now. You put your Vegas Insider user ID in the comments section below this video, along with your best bet for the day. Now, whether it is Major League Baseball, the NBA Finals, WNBA, the Euro 2020, which is wrapping up as today you have Italy and Spain going later this afternoon. But you put up your best bet. It can be a side, a total, a player prop bet. It can be a strikeout prop for a pitcher. It can be a first 5-inning bet in baseball. For the NBA tonight, it can be a first half bet. It can be a first quarter bet. Any of that, you're choosing. It cannot be a live bet. It's got to be before the game. And put that in the comments section below this video, and you will be in the running for a week's worth of handicapper picks from one handicapper of your choosing on VegasInsider.com. It's a $100 value, and you get that for free. Now, you got to win your best bet. And that's the first step. If you win the best bet, you'll be in the drawing for the handicapper picks for 1 week. Now, if you do not have a Vegas Insider user ID, it's very simple to get. Go to the big yellow register button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on register, free membership, register now. And you can create an ID and a password, all for free, along with an email address that we can find you at and your first and last name, and you'll be all set. It is free. Go to the big yellow register button in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll be all set. So, let's begin with the NBA. And tonight you have the NBA Finals starting up, Milwaukee and Phoenix. And a couple things to go over from this. Number one, Giannis Antetokounmpo is listed as doubtful for tonight's matchup for Milwaukee with the hyperextended knee he suffered in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals against Atlanta. He missed the last 2 games of the Eastern Conference Finals, but yet the Bucks still beat the Hawks twice in 5 and in 6 to advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1974. Now, Milwaukee is listed as an underdog tonight, which they should be, and especially without Giannis. The Phoenix Suns, meanwhile, first time they're in the NBA Finals since 1993. Remember that with Charles Barkley, his first season with the Suns. They end up losing to Michael Jordan and the Bulls in 6 games, that John Paxson 3 at the end, and Phoenix looking for its first NBA championship. Now, I mentioned on a video that we have here at VegasInsider.com, our best bet video, and I tweeted it out as well, but I'll tell you if you're tuning in for the first time and you didn't hear it, I'll let you know right now. That since 2005, all right? Since 2005, there have been 16 NBA Finals. And including last year's bubble with the Lakers and the Heat, the home team in Game 1 of the NBA Finals is 15-1 straight up and 14-2 against the spread the last 16. 15-1 straight up, 14-2 against the spread. The only loss came the Heat against the Spurs in 2013. That's the only loss by a home team during this stretch. Now, the only non-cover came in Golden State and Cleveland. The Warriors won in overtime, and they didn't cover against the Cavs. That's the only non-cover in a win during the stretch. So basically, you take the home team, they win in Game 1. Now, does that mean just blindly taking Phoenix? I don't think it should mean it like that, but it's a very strong trend. So Phoenix laying 6 going into tonight, that total up to 219. Now, looking back at the regular season matchups between these two, and we're going to actually go over to our friend Michael Crossan, who does a great job covering the NBA. And I want to scroll down to this year's meetings, which is, I passed it. right here, head to head. So in the two meetings between Bucks and Suns this year, 125-124 win for Phoenix at home. And the Suns were getting 4 in that game. Giannis Antetokounmpo had a huge game for the Bucks, missed a go-ahead jumper at the buzzer or in the final seconds of that game. But Phoenix getting 4, game easily goes over 229. The second meeting in Milwaukee, April 19th, the Suns won in overtime 128-127, and that had a bit of a controversial ending. Devin Booker was fouled on a 3 at the end. Don't know if it was a foul or not, but Booker hit all the free throws, and Phoenix ended up winning by 1. And Phoenix ended up obviously covering as a 3-point dog. But a couple things looking at those two matchups. Number one, those easily went over the total. Phoenix-Milwaukee was 116-116 going to overtime. And then it obviously went way over in overtime. But now, tonight's total is at 219. So you go 229 and 232 down to 219. Now, I don't think that's all necessarily because of Giannis, but that's a major drop-off from the 2 games we saw in the regular season. And now Phoenix, who was a 4-point home dog to Milwaukee back in early February, now all of a sudden, 5 months later in the finals, they're a 6-point favorite. So that's a 10-point swing there, 5.5, 6-point favorite. Nearly a 10-point swing for the Suns in the same venue, and them as a here now as a favorite against Milwaukee. So I'm assuming that the Bucks are, I'm not going to say, how do I say this nicely, manipulating this from the standpoint of let Giannis sit 2 more days, hope he's ready for game 2 on Thursday, try to get the split in Phoenix, and then go back home tied at 1 and then just start all over again. And at least now you have your MVP in the lineup coming up on Thursday for game 2. Now, worst case, if he sits out game 2 coming up Thursday, then he'll hopefully play game 3 Sunday at home. But again, if Giannis Antetokounmpo is sitting out these games, he's not right. Like, you can't tell me that he doesn't want to play. He wants to play. And I'm speaking for him. You got to assume he wants to play. The Bucks are finally in the finals, and we know how fickle this is to get back to the NBA Finals. That unless you're the Golden State Warriors, I mean, look at even LeBron James. Got to the finals last year with the Lakers. They got bounced this year in the first round. That this is an opportunity for them. And who knows when Brooklyn is healthy again, or Philadelphia ever gets their stuff together, how they would be in the finals and not Milwaukee. I'm not saying this year, I mean in the future. So Giannis, I'm sure, wants to play, but if Giannis isn't ready, he's going to say, okay, I'll wait another day or 2, which is fine. And I don't think the Bucks want to rush him back if he's not ready. So those are the 2 matchups from this year, very high-scoring games. Now, if you want to check out, we have a lot of content on our NBA arena. And you could find plenty of trends and angles for the NBA. Matt Blunt did an unbelievable job here of breaking this down. I'm just going to scroll through it quickly, and then you can peruse through it whenever you want. But he breaks down how teams have done in the past as far as their defensive efficiency, who had the better one, and how that translated into success going into game 1 of the finals. Same thing with offensive efficiency, as well as when you had rest, when you started earlier in the finals. So I'm not going to necessarily break all that down, but you can check that out as far as getting an idea, and it's a really good, as we like to call, data mine. Just looking at a different angle that we have the trends, but also there's different things from an efficiency standpoint. Also, NBA Finals MVP odds. Chris Paul right now, he's the favorite, and right behind him it's Devin Booker and Giannis Antetokounmpo, 3-1. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton. Those are the main names right now, which obviously are not a surprise. But just to let you know this, scrolling down, the previous NBA Finals MVP winners, what do you notice with this list? LeBron 4 times, Kawhi Leonard twice, Kevin Durant twice, Dirk Nowitzki, And then you have Andre Iguodala with the Warriors back in 2015 when he wasn't even the leading scorer for them. It was Steph Curry in that series, by the way. And it's funny that Steph Curry, when you look back at it, has never won an MVP in the NBA Finals. But moreover, Iguodala is the exception more than the rule. So if you're looking for an NBA Finals dark horse, I'm not sure if it's worth your time or money to do that, to go for a Brook Lopez or a Jay Crowder or someone like that you'd almost have to concentrate on the top 5. And when it's all said and done, I mean, maybe Chris Middleton at 8-1 could be a guy because he could blow up and score, especially with Giannis sidelined, and we don't know how long he'd be sidelined for. But you got to assume that Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Middleton, and again, Giannis, it depends on when he comes back, because when he comes back, Milwaukee's got a great shot behind him because he could easily score 35 a game and pull down 12 rebounds. Like, he could easily do that. So that's what we have for the NBA Finals. Plenty of content if you want to check it out, not just the game preview, which we have, but also MVP odds, as well as some other angles to break down, as well as the series odds to see if you want to go that route as well. So we have all that for the NBA. Let's check out the NHL really quickly, since the finals continue, the Stanley Cup final. We still have one more game, at least. Game 5 tomorrow in Tampa. Hopefully the weather holds up, because there's supposed to be Hurricane Elsa or Tropical Storm Elsa going towards that area, and that's what postponed the Rays and Indians tonight in St. Pete. So hopefully they can get that game in tomorrow. So Montreal wins last night in overtime over Tampa Bay 3-2. The Canadiens avoid the sweep, and now they'll have Game 5 coming up tomorrow, presumably in Tampa. And the Canadiens closed plus 135 dog, push on the total of 5. And Montreal, they're outmatched by Tampa Bay. There's no question about it. But at least they were able to get one win in this series. And now we'll see what they do going back to Tampa. If they could find a way to just grab... It literally is the one game at a time theory for the Montreal Canadiens, that they cannot look ahead to Game 6, Game 7, get through Game 5, try to win on the road, and take it back to Montreal for Game 6. That's all they can do. And at least they extended the series, and we'll see how this goes coming up tomorrow night, where Tampa Bay, look, you obviously know it's a mismatch, especially in this round when you're laying 200 at home. And that's the case with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Total of 5, shaded to the over, and Tampa Bay a heavy favorite to win the Stanley Cup again for a second straight year. Let's take a look now at Major League Baseball and a very busy Tuesday card. We'll start with the National League and the Braves and the Pirates. They are the first game on the board tonight at PNC Park. I mean, look, Atlanta beat Pittsburgh in one of those games 20-1 earlier this season. Last night, Pittsburgh got some revenge. They won 11-1 at PNC Park. And the Pirates now have won 2 straight, so that's good. But they get an 11-1 win over Atlanta. And the Pirates throwing out Chad Kuhl tonight, who wasn't great his last time out against Colorado, but he's pitched well at home. Ian Anderson takes them out for the Braves, and even though Anderson's numbers may not, seem great, 5-4 record, 3.35 ERA, he's actually pitched better on the road, 2.66 ERA, and the Braves are 7-1 to the under in his 8 road starts. So put that one out there. And also, here's another kind of funky trend. Again, if you want to take it or not. Atlanta 5-2 to the under this year, off a Game 1 loss on the road. So when they lose the opener, normally it's a lower scoring game in the second matchup. So 5-2 to the under in that scenario. So Atlanta, a heavy favorite tonight in Pittsburgh, total of 9. This total's moved up a little bit, a little surprising. Mets and the Brewers, and New York beat Milwaukee last night, and another Brandon Woodruff under on the road. He's perfect with that this year. I think it's up to 8-0 now, and 14-1 or 15-1 to the under since last year. And Brandon Woodruff's road starts for Milwaukee. 4-2 win by the Mets last night. And that's another game in which the Mets, it's 23 of the last 25 home games for the Mets, they've allowed 3 runs or less, which is mind-boggling. And one of the games they allowed more than 3 runs was that series finale loss to the Padres a few weeks ago when Fernando Tatis Jr. hit the grand slam in the 7th inning, and San Diego had 2 runs through 6 innings, and Tatis hit a grand slam and Manny Machado hit a home run. So that kind of busted it up to get to 7. But the Mets pitching at home is unbelievable, and they turned to their ace tonight, to Jacob deGrom, who was knocked around in his first inning at Atlanta last time out, but still only allowed the 3 runs, and he struck out 14 in 7 innings, and the game pushed the 7. The Mets came back to tie it at 3, but then Atlanta won in the 9th. And actually, the last 3 home starts for Jacob deGrom have gone over the total. They've all been low totals, but 4-3, 4-2, 6-3 win over the Cubs. So deGrom's actually seen some overs of late, but still, considering deGrom he's putting up historic numbers this year, and Milwaukee's offense, who, again, it's easy to, crush the Pirates and even the Cubs, who have been terrible of late. The Brewers have scored 2 runs the last 2 games. So Brett Anderson goes for the Brewers tonight, and he has not been sharp. He's actually, he got hurt a few starts ago against Arizona and only lasted less than 2 innings in that one. He's given up 8 runs in his last 2 road starts, but ERA of over 6 on the road. Still with deGrom, I don't feel great about taking overs with him just because he's unhittable, it seems like. Dodgers and the Marlins tonight from Miami. The Marlins actually beat the Dodgers last night at home, and the Marlins will try to do it again with Pablo Lopez, who should be very rested after he was ejected Friday night after 1 pitch against the Atlanta Braves in which he hit Ronald Acuna Jr. And, it's kind of a BS thing because the Braves and Marlins have had their issues as far as Acuna getting hit, and that was Jose Urena a long time ago. He did it a few times, and there was, I think, Sandy Alcantara did it once. But then Pablo Lopez did it, and after discussion with the umpires and Brian Snitker, the manager of the Braves, he put up a big stink about it. Lopez got ejected 1 pitch in. It turned out Acuna was the game-winning run, and the Braves won the game 1-0. I got to imagine it's the first time in Major League history that a pitcher has been ejected after 1 pitch, and he gave up the only run of the game. I got to believe that's the only time it's ever happened. But anyway, so he only threw 1 pitch in that game. He hasn't had a real start since June 25th. So Lopez should be very fresh for this one. His ERA is 2.01 at home, and Tony Gonsolin goes for the Dodgers. He may go 3 or 4 innings. That's what he normally does. But LA favored in this one against Miami. And also Mookie Betts pinch hit last night. Cody Bellinger pinch hit last night. So we'll see if they are back in the lineup coming up this evening. You got to assume that they are, as the Dodgers favored against the Marlins. The Chicago Cubs, it feels like a month ago, they were playing really well. Now they've lost 10 straight. And the Cubs send out Jake Arrieta against Aaron Nola. And Nola has actually been a pretty poor road favorite. Dating back to last season, the Phillies are 1-6 in his last 7 starts as road favorite. So Nola, not exactly the guy you want to trust in that role, and he's been more in some of his last few starts on the road, pick 'em, short underdog, and Nola actually lost his last road start to the Mets, in which he struck out 12, and he was great in that one. But Nola's favored in this one against Arrieta, and look, Chicago's lost 10 in a row. Their offense has been terrible, and the Cubs went from starting the season with no hope, it felt like. Then they played really well and played over their heads. They weren't going to trade anybody. Now with the trade deadline coming up and losing 10 straight and they're under 500, now if you trade Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, some of these other mainstays with the Cubs, if they get rid of some of these guys, because the Cubs could wave the white flag. The Diamondbacks and the Rockies, that isn't exactly an NL West showdown. It's just two teams in the NL West playing. And the Rockies actually coming off a really good homestand in which they swept the Pirates, and also they took 3 of 4 from the Cardinals. And the Rockies gave up in 5 of those games 2 runs or less. In the game they gave up more than 2 runs, they allowed 9 to St. Louis. But 6 of those runs came in extra innings. And St. Louis tied the game at the top of the ninth. They had 2 runs through 8 innings. So Colorado's pitching has been unbelievable of late. And also they've hit 7 straight unders. Now 6 of the unders at home were all on totals of 11 or higher. Now you're down to 8.5 tonight in Arizona against this dreadful Diamondbacks team. Merrill Kelly goes for the Diamondbacks, and he's actually pitched pretty well his last 2 starts. Actually making his last 3 starts, really. And he's 3-0 as a nice underdog. Now he's a favorite. He's allowed 4 earned runs in 20 innings of work. So Kelly's actually been pretty good. Now he faces Colorado. John Gray has also pitched well in his last few starts. He's allowed 2 earned runs his last 2 times out, 15 strikeouts in 11 innings of work. So you got to think it blows up tonight, right? That it's got to. But Colorado, Arizona, you don't see the Diamondbacks as a favorite. You haven't seen them as a favorite in a very long time. But that's the case tonight. St. Louis and San Francisco, they meet up. They continue their series out at Oracle Park. And nice win by the Cardinals yesterday. It was a scoreless game. They were getting scoreless through 6, actually. They were getting no hit by Kevin Gausman before they finally broke through, and then they scored 5 runs in the final few innings to win it 5-3. That game went over 7.5, so you went 0-0 through 6, then 8 runs in the final 3 innings. And San Francisco actually got an RBI ground out with 1 out in the 9th inning to go over the total. And the Cardinals, look, they've struggled offensively. There's no question about that. And they're just trying to get back on track somehow. They had 4 straight unders. They finally went over yesterday. And San Francisco had their 3-game winning streak snapped. And now the Giants turn to Johnny Cueto tonight, who lost his last start at Arizona, but he's been pretty good at home. 3-1 his last 4 starts at home. And Adam Wainwright, meanwhile, goes for St. Louis this evening. And Wainwright, look, this guy's pitching really well. For someone who's, 40 years old, 41 years old, Adam Wainwright, 40, I think. He turns 40 next month. He's 39, he's almost 40. But when you look at Adam Wainwright's numbers of late, he's allowed 2 earned runs or less in 5 straight starts. And the Cardinals are 4-1 in those starts. The only loss came to Colorado's last time out. He went 8 innings, but Colorado won on a walk-off home run. But he still pitched really well. And he still doesn't have a great road ERA. It's 5.35. But Wainwright's a horse, and he'll go 6, 7, 8 innings for the Cardinals. But the Cardinals are a short dog there tonight in San Francisco. Washington and San Diego, that's not listed on here because the Nationals don't have a pitcher yet. But Ryan Weathers due to go for San Diego. Last night the Nationals beat the Padres, so we'll see what the number is tonight. And Washington, who had a rough weekend against the Dodgers, I mean, there's no shame in that. Actually had a rough series or season against them. 0-6 Washington against LA. So now they get San Diego. But they play the second game of that series, and we'll see who the Nationals throw out there tonight. Toronto and Baltimore, the Orioles just named their pitcher for tonight. And it turns out that the Orioles are going to... Let me just make sure I get my... No. So the Orioles tonight, they are going to turn to Spencer Watkins, So he will get an opportunity tonight for the Orioles. And I feel like the Orioles and Blue Jays have played like 20 times in the last few weeks. But Spencer Watkins goes for Baltimore. Steven Matz for Toronto. And the Blue Jays coming off of a series victory over Tampa Bay. Pretty good job by beating the Rays 2 of 3 times. The Orioles, meanwhile, were swept at the Angels. So after the Orioles swept Houston, they lost all 3 to the Angels. Not really shocking, just because you knew it would go backwards sooner or later for the Orioles. And Baltimore at home, still 12 and 26. They're better on the road than they are at home, and they had a 20-game losing streak on the road. The last time Baltimore was at home, they had a 1-5 homestand, and they gave up 10 runs or more 3 times against Toronto and Houston. So it's been pretty bad for Baltimore. And for Toronto, they turned to Steven Matz tonight. Matz actually wasn't good his last time out. He hasn't pitched that well of late, Steven Matz. He's given up 4 runs in 3 of his last 4 starts. He won his last time on the road at Boston, but still, he hasn't been terribly sharp, at least of late. Not saying that's a resounding backing for the Baltimore Orioles, but still. The Indians and the Rays, that's postponed. They're playing tomorrow. They're playing 2 because of the hurricane/tropical storm coming to the area. Detroit and Texas. These teams played in the ALCS like 10 years ago, which is crazy to me. Like what, 2012 or something like that? They played in the ALCS, which is 2011, something in that range. Time flies, does it not? So Detroit's at 39 and 46, which actually is a pretty good job by A.J. Hinch. I got to give him credit on that. Tigers won 3 straight, and they've scored 24 runs the last 3 games. They beat the Rangers last night 7-3. Texas was back after a 6-game road trip, and Texas swept Kansas City in their last homestand, and now they lose to Detroit. First game out of the chute. The Tigers throw out Jose Urena. Dane Dunning goes for Texas. Urena just has not been good at all this year. He's 2-8, 6.22 ERA. He did pick up a no decision his last time out in Detroit's 9-4 win at Cleveland, but the wins have been few and far between for him. I mean, the guy's given up 25 runs his last 4 starts. So you wonder if you go over tonight. For Dunning, he actually picked up a no decision his last time out against Oakland, but the Rangers won 8-3, and the Rangers have won his last 2 starts, which is kind of amazing since he went on a long run without getting a win. Dunning's got a 2.63 home ERA. I mean, this matchup just isn't good. But Texas, heavy favorites. I don't know how you trust them. I really don't know how you lay 180 with Texas tonight. Urena's been terrible, but I don't know how you lay 180 with Dane Dunning. Meanwhile, Dunning's former team, the White Sox, they face the Twins tonight. Carlos Rodon and Jose Barrios. Really good pitching matchup, in fact, from Target Field. And Minnesota actually down a few guys last night. They ended up beating the White Sox 8-5, so it's 3 straight defeats for the Southsiders. No Nelson Cruz, no Josh Donaldson, and yet Minnesota, they end up striking for 3 runs early. Look, Chicago's offense has still been very good. Last 8 games for the White Sox, they've scored, starting with last night and going backwards, 5-5-5, 8-8, 13-7-7. So that's a pretty good job there by the White Sox in 8 straight overs. So if you trust them to go over again, they do face a pretty good pitcher in Jose Barrios. Last time these teams played was last week in Chicago, last Thursday, in fact. And the White Sox outlasted the Twins 8-5 with Rodon and Barrios in the mound with an 8.5 total. So 8-5, and now you have an 8.5 or an 8 total tonight. So you see if this reverses or if it stays true to what the form was last week. And in that game, Minnesota had 1 big inning. So let's not make it out to be that the Twins totally racked Rodon either. They had one inning, while Chicago really spread out their scoring in that game. Oakland and Houston, that's a really good matchup. American League West, the 2 top teams there as they hook up for a few games at Minute Maid Park. And the A's throw out their ace and Chris Bassett. Bassett goes against Framber Valdez. It's a really good pitching matchup tonight. And the A's, who lost 4 of 6 on their homestand to Texas and to Boston. You wonder if they come back now. The A's are 9-1 in Bassett's last 10 starts. And Bassett against Houston this season, he got racked. Let me rephrase that. Gave up 3 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings in an 8-1 loss to the Astros. So, take for it what you will. But the A's, though, here's the only thing I'll say about the A's. Run for Bassett and who they've beaten. Texas twice, lost to the Yankees, beat Kansas City, beat Arizona, beat Seattle, beat the Angels twice, beat Minnesota. So not really the best competition considering, Houston, seeing what they've done so far this year and how good their offensive numbers are. The Astros swept the Indians in a 4-game set in Cleveland. And also, I'm sure Houston is ready for this series because last time they were at home, they got swept by Baltimore. But the Athletics, though, this has been pretty much a road series. Houston swept Oakland way back to start the season in Oakland. A's took 2 of 3 in Houston. Then the Astros took 2 of 3 in Oakland. So it's been a road-heavy series as far as the teams winning it. Valdez, 5-1 record, 2.18 ERA. And he's been really good for the Astros so far this season. So it should be a quality pitching matchup there. Total of 8.5. The Red Sox and the Angels, you don't get this that often. Shohei Ohtani as a dog at home. Ohtani did not last very long. His last start against the Yankees, couldn't get out of the first inning, but the Angels got him off the hook, and they came back and beat the Yankees that game 11-8. The Red Sox won the opener of this series last night 5-4. Now you get a little better pitching matchup with Ohtani going for the Angels and Nathan Eovaldi for Boston. Eovaldi's 9-4. And considering Chris Sale's out and Eduardo Rodriguez has been a bit up and down, Nathan Eovaldi, that's a great pickup for the Red Sox to have him, now the last, few seasons where, he bounced around with the Marlins, with the Yankees, even had a season in Tampa Bay, but then going to Boston. He's been a really good pickup the last few years for the Red Sox. That when you look at what his personal numbers are, he's 15-7. The ERA has improved every single year. His last 2 starts, he's given up 1 earned run. He's gone over 7 innings each time. That's a really good job by Nathan Eovaldi. And the Red Sox have won now 10 of 11. And the Angels had that 4-game winning streak snapped by the Red Sox last night, 5-4. Angels playing a little bit better. Mike Trout's still out. The last American League game of the night is in Seattle, Yankees and the Mariners. Yankees avoided the sweep against the Mets. They won on Sunday night. They had that split doubleheader. But Yankees are 2-7 in their last 9 games. They have not been good. And Jameson Taillon, who actually has one of those wins in that span, he takes the mound tonight. And Taillon's 2-0 his last 2 starts, beat the Royals and Angels at home, gave up 5 earned runs to the Angels his last time out. Taillon, his last road start, he's actually been very fortunate. He's had a lot of home starts during the stretch. His last road start, 4 earned runs in a third of an inning against the Phillies. He's allowed 4 earned runs in 3 straight starts. So that has not been a good sign for the Yankees and for Taillon. And that total at 9.5 tonight. Seattle, they come into this one. They've won 4 or 5. They're playing well. Justice Sheffield, not great numbers, 5-7, 5.88 ERA. He's allowed 19 runs his last 4 starts, so he hasn't been good. Taillon, even though he's won his last 2, he hasn't been sharp, so that's a high total of 9.5. You don't really get 9.5s necessarily in Seattle, but that's the case coming up tonight. In the final game, Royals and the Reds from Kansas City. Luis Castillo, who's pitched better recently for the Reds after he had a really terrible start to the season. He takes them out for Cincinnati, and the Reds beat the Royals last night. Chris Bubich goes for the Royals. He's actually been better at home. He's had some, I'm not going to call it bad luck because he hasn't pitched well, but he's pitched a lot on the road recently, so now he gets to pitch at home where he defeated Milwaukee earlier in the season, defeated Detroit earlier in the season, so maybe he's going to get some confidence pitching at home. And Cincinnati's at 44-40. They're playing a little bit better, still in that National League Central where the Cubs have free fallen, the Pirates aren't a factor, and the Cardinals are a bit shaky. So you have Milwaukee, who's still leading the division, but Cincinnati trying to make its way up the division. Euro 2020, what do we got today? Italy and Spain at 3 o'clock. That's right. First semifinal of the Euro 2020. It's been a really good tournament. And you can check out Toby Maxstone Smith's predictions. He likes Italy today to beat Spain 2-1, so you can read up on that. You can find it on our homepage right now. Also, we have plenty of UFC 264, Poirier, McGregor, a lot of other fights in the card out in Las Vegas. You can read up on those fights. Adam Leichenstein, who does a very good job covering the UFC for Vegas Insider, he has the previews also. We'll have a video, myself and Adam, previewing the fights that should come out a little later today. So you could check that out as well on our YouTube channel. And again, want to remind you about all of our NBA Finals content that we have regarding Game 1 tonight. Michael Crossan has that preview, as well as the MVP odds. Chris Paul's the favorite. Trends and angles for that. And Matt Blunt, he broke it all down. He does a great job. You can find that on our NBA Arena, as well as series odds, not just, I mean, for every kind of combination you want. And Major League Baseball, today's Diamond Trends, as well as the best bets from Kevin Davis. He's going to look at Red Sox Angels as well as Yankees Mariners. You can check that out as well. And again, our Vegas Insider Daily Insider Contest, very easy to enter. Put your Vegas Insider user ID in the comments section along with your best bet for the day, whether it's Major League Baseball, NBA, WNBA. If it's for Game 5 of the NHL Stanley Cup Final, that's fine too. But put it up, side, total, player prop bet, first half bet in the NBA, first 5-inning play in Major League Baseball. It's up to you, just no live bets. And put that in the comments section below the video, your Vegas Insider user ID along with your best bet, and you'll be in the drawing, assuming you win, you'll be in the drawing for a week's worth of free handicapper picks from one handicapper of your choosing at VegasInsider.com. If you do not have a Vegas Insider user ID, that's fine. Go up to the big yellow register button right here in the upper right-hand corner. Click on it. Go to the free membership part, register now, and create your ID, password, email address, first and last name so we get in contact with you. Do it all there. Remember the big yellow register button. That's where you can do it if you are new to Vegas Insider, and we welcome you. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos at Vegas Insider. I have the breakdown for Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Bucks and the Suns. We'll talk to you again on Thursday for the Daily Insider, and we'll look ahead to Game 2 of the NBA Finals. I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, best of luck with your bets.